Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital spoilers. Dante finally awakens, but will detective remember Jason is innocent? General Hospital GH spoilers reveal that Dante Falconeri's Dominic Zamprogna coma crisis is winding down at last. Dante's surgery was successful, but his loved ones have been stuck in limbo, hoping that he'll wake up and give them a truly positive outcome. The doctors were uncertain about when Dante would finally awaken, so there's been no way to know for sure when it would happen. Sam McCall Kelly Monaco has been an emotional wreck, but she'll get some hopeful news during the week of March 25th to 29th. Our predictions point to Sam getting some kind of sign that Dante's on the verge of coming back to her. It's easy to imagine Dante squeezing Sam's hand or perhaps fluttering his eyes a bit. One way or another, Sam will feel like she can breathe again. There'll be a good reason to believe that Dante is regaining consciousness, so it surely won't be long until Dante fully opens his eyes. You can bet Olivia Quartermaine, Lisa Lo Cicero, Rocco Falconeri, Finn Francis Carr and Danny Morgan Asher Antonizan will want to be there once they get updates. The three of them will race to Dante's hospital bed at GH and hope for the best. Once Dante is breathing on his own and gets all his vitals checked, he should be up for interacting with some visitors. After Dante has a sweet reunion with Sam, he'll no doubt spend some time with Rocco, Danny, and Olivia, too. Of course, Dante will need to tell the cops how everything went down on the pier at some point. Will Dante remember that Jason Morgan Steve Burton is innocent and that he only tried to help him that night? Comas can sometimes leave people a little hazy when they first wake up, but let's hope Dante will have total recall and rush to Jason's defense. It seems like Dante's revelation has been delayed long enough, so he may assure Sam and the others that Hamish Chris Gann fired at him before Jason administered first aid as best as he could. General Hospital spoilers say Sonny Corinthos, Maurice Bennard and many of Dante's other loved ones will be pleased about this turn of events, so stay tuned. Title: General Hospital spoilers. Dante finally awakens, but will detective remember Jason is innocent? In the dimly lit hospital room, monitors beeped rhythmically, casting an eerie glow over the motionless figure lying in the bed. It had been weeks since Detective Dante Falconeri had been brought in, battered and broken from a shootout that had left Port Charles reeling. But now, finally, there was a glimmer of hope as his eyelids fluttered, signaling his slow return to consciousness. News of Dante's awakening spread through General Hospital like wildfire. Friends and family gathered outside his room, anxious for any sign of improvement. Among them stood Lulu Spencer Falconeri, Dante's estranged wife, her heart heavy with worry and regret. She had prayed for this moment, but now that it was here, she couldn't shake the fear of what Dante's return to consciousness might bring. Inside the room, Dante's eyelids continued to flutter, his mind swimming in a sea of confusion and fragments of memory. Faces flashed before his eyes: his mother, Olivia Falconeri, his partner, Nathan West, and his best friend, Sonny Corinthos. But amidst the chaos of his thoughts, one name echoed louder than the rest: Jason Morgan. Meanwhile, across town, Jason Morgan sat in his cell at the Port Charles Police Department, his mind consumed by thoughts of the friend he had been accused of shooting. Despite his protestations of innocence, the evidence against him seemed damning, and with Dante still unconscious, there was no one to corroborate his story. But now, with Dante finally awake, there was hope that the truth would come to light. Jason's lawyer, Diane Miller, had been tirelessly working on his case, but without Dante's testimony, their chances seemed slim. However, if Dante could remember what had happened that fateful night, they might just have a shot at clearing Jason's name. As Dante's consciousness slowly solidified, memories began to coalesce in his mind like pieces of a puzzle falling into place. He remembered the shootout, the chaos, and the pain, but there was something else, a nagging feeling that there was more to the story than met the eye. Outside Dante's room, Lulu paced back and forth, her nerves frayed with anticipation. She had hoped that Dante's awakening would bring them closer together, but now she feared that it might tear them apart even further. The thought of losing him again was almost too much to bear. Inside the room, Dante's brow furrowed as he struggled to make sense of the jumble of memories flooding his mind. And then, like a bolt of lightning, it hit him: Jason Morgan. He remembered seeing Jason that night, but the details were hazy, obscured by the fog of his own injuries and confusion. Desperate for answers, Dante reached for the call button beside his bed, his fingers trembling with anticipation. Moments later, a nurse entered the room, her eyes widening in surprise at the sight of Dante awake and alert. "Can you get me Detective Sam McCall?" Dante asked, his voice hoarse from disuse. The nurse nodded, her curiosity piqued by Dante's request. She hurried out of the room, leaving Dante alone with his thoughts. As he waited for Sam to arrive, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was on the verge of uncovering something big, something that could change everything. Meanwhile, across town, Jason's cell door swung open, and Diane Miller stepped inside, a hopeful smile playing at her lips. "Jason, there's been a development," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. Jason's heart skipped a beat at the news, his hope surging at the thought that Dante might remember what had happened that night. "What is it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "Dante Falconeri has awakened," Diane replied, her smile widening at the look of relief that washed over Jason's face. With Dante awake, they finally had a chance to prove Jason's innocence. But as they would soon discover, the truth was far more complicated than they could have ever imagined. Back at General Hospital, Sam McCall arrived at Dante's bedside, her heart pounding with anticipation. She had been waiting for this moment for weeks, hoping against hope that Dante would wake up and shed some light on what had happened that night. "Dante, it's Sam," she said, her voice soft and gentle. Dante turned to face her, his eyes searching hers for answers. "Sam, I need to talk to you about Jason Morgan," he said, his voice serious. Sam's heart skipped a beat at the mention of Jason's name. Could Dante remember what had happened that night? Could he remember that Jason was innocent? "What about Jason?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Dante hesitated for a moment, his mind racing as he tried to piece together the fragments of memory swirling in his mind. "I saw him that night," he said finally, his voice barely audible. Sam's eyes widened in surprise at the revelation. If Dante had seen Jason that night, then maybe there was hope after all. "What did you see?" she asked, her voice trembling with anticipation. Dante closed his eyes, the memories flooding back to him in a rush of images and emotions. He remembered seeing Jason in the alley, his hands raised in surrender as the gunfire erupted around them. But there was something else, something that didn't quite add up. "I saw Jason, but he wasn't alone," Dante said, his voice tinged with uncertainty. Sam leaned in closer, her heart pounding with excitement. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice urgent. Dante's brow furrowed as he struggled to make sense of the memory. "I saw him with someone else, someone who shouldn't have been there," he said, his voice trailing off as he tried to grasp at the elusive threads of memory. Sam's mind raced as she tried to piece together Dante's words. If Jason had been with someone else that night, then maybe there was more to this case than they had initially thought. "Who was it, Dante?" she asked, her voice urgent. But before Dante could answer, a wave of dizziness washed over him, sending him reeling back into the darkness. Outside the room, Lulu watched anxiously as Sam emerged, her mind swirling with questions and fears. Could Dante's revelation clear Jason's name, or would it only further complicate an already tangled web of lies and deceit? As news of Dante's awakening spread through Port Charles, tensions reached a fever pitch. Friends became enemies, and enemies became allies as everyone scrambled to uncover the truth behind the shooting that had rocked their small town to its core. But amidst the chaos and confusion, one thing remained clear: Dante Falconeri held the key to unlocking the mystery that had plagued them all. And as he fought to reclaim his memories and piece together the fragments of his shattered past, the fate of Jason Morgan and the future of Port Charles itself hung in the balance.